In this video, you'll learn how to replace the brake rotors and pads on a Mazda CX-30. Safety first, ensure your vehicle is safely raised with tire chocks in place. In addition to jack stands, both a jack and a tire slid under the frame offer extra security. First, it's important to put the electronic parking brake in maintenance mode. Hit start 2 times. Hold down the brake, and while holding it down, press down on the e-parking brake 1 time and release it. Now release your foot off the brake.
So now we're going to hold 2 things down. The accelerator all the way down and the e-brake down, and then hit start 3 times.
You should hear the caliper reset, and then you can release everything.
And just a test, I started up, my parking brake is off, so I'll shut her down.
Now to remove the old pads and rotor. Remove the plastic caps over the 2 caliper bolts.
Plastic plugs, pull those out, and then take a Torx T45. Not on there too tight. And break them both loose. There. Back them both off. The bolts won't actually come out of this housing, but they will come out of the threads here. There'll come a point where it won't back off any further.
Then remove the pad clip with a flathead screwdriver.
So it's inserted into these 2 holes here. Take note how it comes off, because that's how it's going to go back on. Just take a flathead screwdriver, pop that out. You can get the other side out. Now this center part is what will come loose to be removed. Just give it a little wiggle. There, those bolts have to back off enough. Once you get that to pop out, now there are two lines in the back. There's the brake line, and then this is, I believe this is the electrical for your power parking brake. We want to make sure that both of those are taken care of and not pinched or damaged. So you can actually set this in place back here, but just to make sure that nothing goes wrong when we're pounding around, good idea to give it some support. So here I've just wound it around the spring. Trying to clip that. Another consideration is that I want to keep it out of the way. We have a couple of bolts back here that need to come out. Now I can take the old brake pads out. Notice that this spring is on the rear one. Now we're going to remove the caliper bracket. And to do that, there are 2 bolts. They're hard to see back here, but basically they're just straight down from here. So if you follow that straight down, there's a bolt here. If you follow this straight down, there's a bolt there. Now I found it hard to fit my breaker bar in here. You might find some different angles to come up through here, for example, and then underneath this. If you can't fit something large in there, what I found that worked is take your 14 mil and your clown hammer, and then give it some knocks, and that should loosen it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Sometimes it's just getting the right angle. Now to take the rotor off, it's held in with these 2 screws, and you can use a large star screwdriver bit for it, and it works good in a ratchet, just to loosen those off. They're not too tight. Back those off and the rotor will come right off. There are a few different size rotors for the rear depending on the model of your CX-30. This is the larger rotor for this vehicle. Part number C80544. And the smaller rotor C11388. Just as we did on the front rotors, before we install these, hit it with some brake clean on the surface where the brake pads will make contact. So that's around here, and on the other side, it's around here. Get your wire brush, your PPE. We're going to clean the rust off of here. We want that to be nice and smooth with no raised surfaces. And then hit it with some brake clean. And for bonus points, hit it with a thin layer of silver anti-seize. Not too much, just a very light coating. Now to put the rotor on, you want to make sure that you line up the threads for the screws. This countersunk spot and then this one, that's where the screws are going to go. So those will line up with that. Note, I've got clean hands. You want to have clean hands or clean gloves when you're handling this rotor. And have your screws at the ready so that you can get that mounted. When they're both in, then tighten them up. You don't need to tighten them too much. I'm just going to hold that rotor in place.
Time to install the caliper bracket, but first it needs to be cleaned with a wire brush.
Where it makes contact is right in here, these surfaces. So we're going to clean those up on both sides. Give that a shot with your brake clean. Now in prep for putting this back on, look at the two bolts holding it. They don't appear that they had any Loctite on them from the factory. This is the first brake job since factory, so these are how they came off the line. But I'm going to put just a little bit of blue Loctite towards the end here, just as a little precaution. Now before I install this, I'm just going to put a little bit of the copper anti-seize, just a little tiny bit, where the brake pad makes contact. And I like to do this beforehand because I find, well, it just reduces the chance of getting any of this on your rotor. So this will go on here. Put the bolt in through the back. Just line it up. Start it finger tight. Got a little closer look where those bolts go. Back here, there's one. Right? There's the other. Okay, give you some reference.
Tighten the bracket bolts to spec. I couldn't find that information, so I tried to match how they felt coming off. If you know, please share that in the comments below.
Very awkward.
Let's help each other.
Put these pads in. This one is going to be rear guard in the rear.
Where the pad tips ride in the bracket, coat with a thin layer of copper anti-seize.
That's it, just a little tiny bit. That's all it needs.
As well as on the back surface.
I'm going to put some of this around here where the caliper piston makes contact, but again, not too much. And then just set in. Same with the front. Only have to do this bottom side. Not too much. Careful you're not getting any grease or dirt on the pad itself, the face of the pad, which will be against the rotor. And on the front now, I'm just going to slather some on either side of these metal nubs. That's all it needs on the front.
Before putting the caliper back on, loosen the cap on the brake fill reservoir. Then, take some brake clean on a rag and clean the side of the caliper piston where it meets the rubber boot.
And just clean around the piston so that that boot doesn't get dirt in it over time. A little preventative maintenance never hurts.
Now push back the piston with channel locks or a piston compression tool.
Squeeze it down, giving time, nice and slow, and time for the fluid to back up into the reservoir. Very slow. Okay, that's backed all the way. Take the old brake pad and take your compressor tool and then slowly, just very slow, gives a chance for all the fluid that's in here to back up into the system, and we want that to occur gently. So now I can't turn this anymore. That's backed as far as it'll go. So ready to move to the next step.
Slide the caliper over the new brake pads. Use the Torx T45 and start threading the caliper bolts by hand.
I need to back those bolts off. And with our T45 Torx, we start to put these back in. Make sure that you line them up. Just start it by hand so that you don't cross thread anything. I haven't tightened them up yet.
Then tighten them to 22 foot-pounds or 30 Newton meters.
And the plastic caps over the screws that you were just working on.
Now install the pad clip.
Now there are two holes here. It can help get your screwdriver. So these are going to go in the holes, and these parts are going to sit underneath here. And like that on both sides. You put the one side in, get this one underneath, use your screwdriver. There. That's it. Make sure both sides are in all the way.
Now to put the tire back on and do the other side. With both sides done, tighten the cap on the brake fluid reservoir, pump the brakes until stiff,
There we go.
and take the e-parking brake out of maintenance mode.
So to reset and engage your electronic parking brake, start twice. Foot pressing down on the brake pedal, and then pull up the electronic parking brake up once. Remove your foot from the brake pedal, accelerator all the way down, e-parking brake up, and so while those two things are happening, start 3 times. There, once all the noise is stopped, we can release everything. And you can see now my parking brake light is coming on.
Now take it for a test drive and good to go. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, comment, and ring that bell. Need to do front brakes on your CX-30? Check out this video. Thanks for watching.